Well, Derek, where there's smoke, there's fire, apparently, because today we just got the announcement of another Nintendo Direct. And I think we have a lot to say about this one. I feel like this one probably has higher stakes than most. But I'm really excited to talk about what potentially could be happening here. We've only got one day to wait till find out. So how are you feeling? Are you hyped about this, or where's your excitement level at before we talk about any specifics of what we think will be in the show?
I'm pretty hyped because generally, one, it's a relief to get all that speculation out of the way. It's like there's September, it's supposed to happen, it's meant to happen, it's going to happen sometime. When is it happening? To get that finally out there and done with, that's always a bit of a relief for me, just because okay, we don't have any to deal with any of the speculation. It's here now. We know it's coming. No need to worry. Take a deep breath. And now we can all get mad about what was not shown. That said, I did make it a point to look at what we have coming out for the rest of the year. And honestly, there's enough here to fill out a 40-minute show without really showing that many new things. Like, I would not expect a lot of big new announcements for this. I think it's mostly going to be clarification on things we already know about, with a peppering of things we can be excited about otherwise,
Yeah, I agree with that. There's still a lot of games that Nintendo has shown off that we've seen very little of. Big Brain Academy, which just got kind of announced out of nowhere. Pokemon, the not Arceus, which is what I'd love to see, but the Diamond and Pearl remakes we've seen surprisingly little of. Mario Party, which is coming out later this year. So there are, like you said, a lot of games that Nintendo kind of needs to fill in the blanks on before they come out. And I fully suspect, even though Metroid Dread is right around the corner, we'll see something about that too.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, that's like their big game. So I would be surprised if we didn't see more of it. But yeah, I think that we're not going to get too many earth-shattering things. I do think there's one big thing, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that isn't yet announced, but I think everybody kind of suspects at this point. But let's get into more specifics, because I think that, like you said, this is the September Direct that everybody kind of knows is always happening. I just tweeted yesterday with no knowledge of anything that I wish Nintendo would just announce the Direct so people could go back to complaining about what is in the Direct. And so, yeah, thanks Nintendo for making that tweet very timely. But
worked out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm now industry insider Steve Bowling, not just regular Steve Bowling. But let's talk about what we think is going to be in the Direct. I'm going to throw it to you first, just because I feel like you have a bit more of a finger on the pulse of what Nintendo has coming up than I do at the moment. So, Derek, take it away.
Well, I took a look at what we have coming out on the Switch, mainly the major ones, and there actually is a pretty sizable list that we can expect. October, we have, I don't know if it'll be featured, but people have been talking about it. And Nintendo might just sort of like, you know what, we'll feature this a little bit just because it has been talked about a lot. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Of course, there's also Super Monkey Ball, Metroid Dread. We're getting Tetris Effect on the Switch, and even Guardians of the Galaxy, which previews went up today for that as well. So I can see them highlighting even more of that, because Nintendo loves to piggyback off those sort of embargo releases. And just to finish out October, Fatal Frame, great for Halloween, and of course Mario Party Superstars. That's just October, and that's like 7 or 8 games. And then, of course, going beyond that, for November, we got Shin Megami Tensei 5, Pokemon, as you said before. And then December, we got Advance Wars, Big Brain Academy, and Danganronpa Decadence, which they might not show much more about, because how much really do you have to say? Because all the necessary information was kind of there the first time they showed it off. So that might not make an appearance. So there is, as I said, plenty to show off in terms of what we know is coming out. But of course, there's the big one that everybody's going to be talking about, and it's almost a certainty that it's going to be there. And that's, of course, the next Smash character.
Yeah, I am really excited to see what we get for Smash. Nintendo has to really pull this one out, because I don't see them doing like a December announcement for this character, especially when the timeline they set expires next February. So they're almost out of time to release it based on the schedule they put forth, initially. We've got to see this character real soon, and it's always like announcement and then a bit of a wait till release. So I do feel like we're in that prime position for a Smash character reveal, and I honestly, at this point, I have no clue who it could even be. I
Yeah, there are so many possibilities. You could throw out most characters and be like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird position because there are so many characters represented in Smash already that it feels like, I mean, who do you even put? Like it feels like they've already exhausted the supply of, obvious choices. And I have to wonder, I'm personally still holding out hope for Travis Touchdown, though. In my mind, I know that that's not going to happen. But I could totally see like the main protagonist from Shin Megami Tensei 5, for instance, being included. Um, I could see it being a Gen 8 Pokemon, even though I feel like people would be way up in arms about that. Uh,
They could probably put in that I'm forgetting his name, but the electric one that's kind of broken in Pokemon Unite right now. I have Zarude on the mind, but I don't believe that's it. It's an electric Pokemon that people generally really like, and it's a newer one. So I could see them putting that in and having more physical, almost Mewtwo or Lucario type Pikachu
that would be
Pokemon.
Zeraora, right?
Zeraora, thank you, Steve. That's sad that the Pokemon guy did not remember it, but you did, unless you looked it up.
Oh, I definitely looked it up.
Okay. Okay. I don't feel too bad. I am notoriously bad at remembering names, so I'm just going to chalk it up to that. But I could see Zeraora make it in, and I think generally people would be kind of okay with it. It'd be kind of have the eye roll to it that might throw people off. But another aspect that somebody has brought up to me is that a lot of the characters that made it into Smash's DLC from other companies, Nintendo kind of has stocks in. They have a bit of a stake in, and the only one that has not shown up that they have for a company that they have stakes in that has not had a character in Smash yet is Koei Tecmo, which would potentially
Ooh.
point to Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden. So I feels like a strange pool to put out last, but that is, I guess, third party wise, maybe a reasoning for it. But obviously, we all know Smash has no rules.
Yeah, definitely. And I would be a little bit surprised if it was Ryu Hayabusa. I agree that Koei Tecmo not having a rep seems odd, given how chummy the two companies have become over the
Mm-hmm.
Switch's life cycle. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something from them. I just don't know if Ryu Hayabusa, even though we did get the Ninja Gaiden collection on Switch, I don't know that he would be a character that would make sense for me anymore, just because his NES legacy is kind of gone, and he really isn't that popular anymore in general. But I I would love to see something from Koei Tecmo in general.
You know what kind of fulfills that idea while still keeping it to Nintendo, so we kind of tick both boxes?
What you got?
Impa from Hyrule Warriors.
Oh man, that would be cool. I
That
would
would
love
be,
that.
I would be really hyped about that. We could get that legacy character for Zelda, but also basically the best version of her. So yes, please.
Yeah, that would be really really cool. I would love to see that. Impa was one of my favorite characters in Hyrule Warriors, and her moveset would be incredible. Like she would just be a well, not technically a powerhouse in the traditional sense, but her speed would make her a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Plus, a unique weapon with the Naginata.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Nobody
a lot of
really has
possibility
that.
there.
So, I mean, Smash seems like an obvious choice for what we could look forward to. I do believe that you're totally right that we're going to see a Smash reveal in the direct, just because the timing almost makes too much sense.
Oh
But
yeah.
there's a lot of other kind of outside of the predictable stuff that we could talk about. I want to get the big one out of the way, or at least the one that everybody's talking about, and that is an update to Nintendo Switch Online.
Mhm.
It seems almost set in stone at this point that that Nintendo is going to roll out some significant update to Nintendo Switch Online's offerings. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we covered it on TNT the other day. But Nintendo recently filed some stuff with the FCC about an upcoming piece of hardware, which the model number is HAC043. For those of you that are unfamiliar, HAC 042 was the Nintendo Switch Online Super Nintendo controllers. And diagrams, there's no photos available, but diagrams have shown that label placement on this as to yet unrevealed device is strikingly similar to the label placement on an N64 controller. What makes this seemingly even more obvious is that originally, when this came up and we talked about it on TNT, Nintendo had asked that the FCC not reveal any of the photos of the device until March of 2022.
Hmm.
Then yesterday, they changed that date to September 24th.
Oh my God.
So it seems like whatever this device is will be revealed tomorrow at the Direct. Otherwise, Nintendo's just going to let the FCC show us before they do. um, so the label placement, the long-standing rumors that Nintendo Switch Online is going to get like an additional paid tier, and this controller lead me to believe that not only are we getting an NSO update at the Direct, but that it's going to be N64 games. And what's your take on that, Derek? Have you read up on these rumors?
I have read up on the rumors. I know they are very common. We've gotten the rumors for both Game Boy and Nintendo 64 at this point. And I hope it's the case, but I also hope Nintendo kind of eats the cost as a show of goodwill, because most people are kind of down on the Switch Online, and to make a higher tier to get some of these access to these games that people have been asking for a while, especially with an unknown release rate, it seems to be asking a bit much. I can see it costing more. I can see them almost deserving a higher price tier, because the N64 games typically cost them cost more in the old VC. But it's one of those things where, especially like looking at myself, my automatic renewal is coming up very soon for Switch Online, and it would suck if I have to be like it renewed already, or for example, and it's like, oh, I gotta increase this or do whatever I got to do with this in order to keep it around. So yeah, it's one of those things where I can see it happening. In fact, I'm almost positive it will at this point. There's just too much evidence, but I hope that the rumored higher price tier for Switch Online is not a thing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I feel like N64 alone, especially like you said, with kind of the drip feed release schedule that they have, is not enough to inspire me to pay more. If Nintendo is going to do an additional tier and tie N64 to this, one, I need some assurances that we're getting more than like a game a month, right?
Yeah.
And two, and even then, that's Nintendo doesn't meet that target all of the time. But on top of that, as somebody who still owns an N64 and a lot of the original games and has purchased many of the games I want on the Wii U and Wii Virtual Consoles, I would need something more than just N64. I would need, like, give me N64 and Game Boy. And that might be enough, because honestly, I kind of missed the boat on the Game Boy. I played a couple of games on it, but by the time I got my first Game Boy, like my first original Game Boy, the Advance came out like 2 years later. So I missed a lot of content on the original Game Boy that I would love to play again, without having to go find a Game Boy.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, so I would definitely be okay with that, but the price is going to be a major concern.
Yes, but the key thing here, to maybe entice you even more, is like, yes, you have those games, Steve, but if they have the Switch Online and allow you to play multiplayer online with these N64 controllers, like N64 games, like you can with the SNES and the NES, then all of a sudden there's a lot more value, because the N64 was a multiplayer machine. Bomberman 64, Dr. Mario 64, any Mario Party, just game after game that is just perfect for multiplayer. And to have it online, be able to play with friends, that's a lot of value.
Yeah, it really is. You do make a really valid point, because having 4-player online, let's just say Mario Party, because that's the game I think about
Yeah.
when I think about multiplayer. Having online Mario Party, like the original 3 games, would be incredible. Those could make nights all into themselves. So I would be down for that. I mean, at $40 for a family plan, because I have people on my plan.
Hmm.
Uh, I struggle to find like, how much are you going to increase the price? Are we talking, is it $5 or $10? Because that's pretty negligible if you're already paying 40. But if
True.
you're paying 20, that's a 50% uplift, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that can be hard to sell people on, like, hey, almost double your subscription cost, and we'll throw you an N64 game every now and then. Feels like a hard sell.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's one thing they need to, I think, push and really course correct on. The infrequency of the Switch Online getting updated needs to be addressed. Like there
right.
needs to be something done here so it actually feels like it has value.
Yeah, I've been saying this for years, and to be clear, this even though this is a predictions discussion, this is not part of a prediction,
Yeah.
because Nintendo just won't do it. But I've been saying for years that they need to just throw open the doors on this thing and make it like Virtual Console, but subscription based. Like, hey, here's all the games we can get access to, and for $20 a year, you have this gigantic library of really old games you can play whenever you want. That I mean, I would easily, if you hike up the price to say $60 a year and say, hey, we're just giving you access to hundreds upon hundreds of games, I
That
wouldn't even think
there'd be
twice.
so many people for Switch Online at that point to just throw open those vaults, especially for adding in N64 and Game Boy games all of a sudden, because then you got the Super Mario Land, you got Wario Land, you got Donkey Kong 94, Donkey Kong Land, and maybe even Pokemon if they want to do that. There is a lot of legacy content just on the Game Boy that could really make this huge and get people really behind it. I don't know if it's Nintendo; they won't do that, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they'll do it personally. I wish they would. The other thing I'd love to see come back from Virtual Console is just non-Nintendo consoles. I'd love to see
Mm,
Nintendo, like they did with the Wii Virtual Console. Give me Turbo Graphics, give me Game Gear, give me stuff like that. A lot of the give me old arcade games. Those would be enticing too, but I think without a purchase model, that probably won't work. I think that
yeah,
probably, a lot of licensing fees went back to those companies. So I don't know how Nintendo could ever add something like that, but if they could, I'd be very happy. um,
absolutely.
but yeah, we still, Nintendo. So N64, I'm fairly confident is coming. I don't know about anything else. I'd be happy if they added anything else, but I feel like it's almost a lock. Like as close to you can get, as close as you can get without Nintendo actually outright confirming it ahead of time that N64 is on its way to Nintendo Switch Online during the direct, which I'd be pretty happy about. I'd definitely buy the controller, but
That'd be a
um,
funny thing to see attached to the Switch for
oh yeah,
sure.
they better put Joy-Con rails on this N64 controller just so I can have two of them like attached across it. That would be
I know, it
wild.
just look absolutely ridiculous.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so beyond that rumor, and we've talked about like the known quantities we have here. What kind of games do you expect we'll see otherwise? Because it's not going to be all known games, that's for sure.
So I'm hopeful. I'm gonna throw out this one, and I feel like this one has been thrown out in many a direct discussion across the internet. But I feel like, given recent stuff we talked about on today's news tonight, that Bayonetta 3 might actually make an appearance.
Hmm.
And I know Nintendo said, winter games. And to be clear, Bayonetta 3 is not a winter game.
No.
But Nintendo also loves to say that and then show like one or two games that definitely aren't within the window they discussed. Um, and I think Bayo 3 could be that game because we recently had that article in Video Games Chronicle where Kamiya was talking about how they're ready to show Bayonetta 3 and that they're just waiting on Nintendo for the timing. Uh,
Well,
a
here's your
direct
timing.
seems like a really good time. Yeah. I don't know what we'll see of Bayo 3, and honestly, I'm 50% on this one. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I wouldn't be surprised if it got shown. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. But I know that fans are clamoring for it, and the timing of the article just seems really weird with a direct being now announced within a
Hmm.
week of that article coming out. Uh, so I mean, if it's that close and they're doing that well with development, I do feel like Nintendo probably wants to reassure that fan base that yeah, we know we announced Bayo 3 like 4 years ago, and yes, there's actually something to show for it.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Obvious one I have to bring up, just because I am that guy. This seems like a good opportunity to show off the Castlevania Advance Collection. If that is,
Ooh.
it's been rated in multiple countries at this point. It is a sure thing. This is the perfect time to actually show it off.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, for folks that don't know, to rate a game, it has to be playable. Like the ESRB or whatever ratings board you submit it to actually has to have a playable build of the game on hand. So that means that it's at least far enough along, and rating is one of the last things that happens. So,
Hmm.
because you basically have to have locked in, the game to a degree, right? Because they have to be able to play it, verify that the description provided by the publisher matches the content of the game, and then give it a rating based on that. And so, and it's a port job. It's not like it's a remake. So
Yeah.
I would say that this is definitely something. This has shadow drop potential in my mind. Like this is
Ooh.
something that you could easily say like, "Hey, Castlevania collection available after the show or available later today," because as far as games go, it's a relatively easy win, and damn, that would be a huge one. Like it is. I know that I'd be lining up for it. I've not played those games. I've not played
Oh,
the Castlevania
they're
GBA
quite
games.
excellent. Not quite to the sheer like overall not quite up to the sheer quality of the DS trilogy, but the Game Boy Advance trilogy is still excellent, especially Aria of Sorrow.
Nice. Yeah, I could definitely see Nintendo taking one of these as like a. I mean, this is a mainline direct, so shadow drops in those are typically of higher quality than like an indie direct, right? And I
Typically,
could definitely see Castlevania being a prime candidate for that. Like if Nintendo just says, "Hey, GBA collection is available right now," especially if they're talking about older games with NSO and stuff like that, Castlevania would be a nice tie into that.
yeah,
Um,
it would serve pretty well for that. Uh, Otherwise, I'm not sure what else. Like, I don't think we'll see Breath of the Wild 2.
no, me neither.
That's very unlikely. I'm trying to think of the other pie in the sky games. I don't think we'll see Splatoon 3. I feel like they'll wait on that one.
Right. Yeah, that's
Um,
that's what, spring 2022 at this point, or just no, not even. It's just 2022.
yeah, just 2022 at this point. That's a May game to me. So that's easily a January direct type thing.
Yeah, I agree. I figure we won't see anything new of Splatoon 3 until next year, most likely.
Hmm.
I do want to throw one out there that is definitely pie in the sky, because our good friend Ash, it's just too early for him to be here.
Yeah,
Um,
that boy's asleep.
yeah, for sure. Klonoa. So the
Hmm.
Klonoa Encore trademark was just filed in Japan like a couple of days ago. So we've known about the Klonoa Encore trademark for quite some time now here in the States. It's been a known quantity for, I want to say, close to a year. But it just got filed in Japan. And so that tells me, one, that project is ongoing. It's not dead. And two, if it's just been filed in Japan, again, the proximity to the announcement of a direct is what makes me suspect that maybe we'll see something. I I fully
That'd be amazing. I don't know if it'll happen, but it would be amazing.
yeah, it would absolutely be mind blowing to see Klonoa show up at the direct. But like as these things go too, there's no rhyme or reason to them. I just like the tinfoil hat level conspiracy theorism of a trademark being filed just in time for a direct. But I fully expect that it won't be there, but it would be really really cool. I know Ash would definitely pop off during our reaction if we did end up seeing it. So hopefully for Ash's sake, Klonoa ends up in there. Um, but yeah, I don't think we have it's interesting going into this direct because we have a lot of things we know, which leads me to wonder how many surprise moments there really will be heading into
And I
it.
don't think
But
there will be. I think this will be a pretty, not like, I don't think it won't be any less hype inducing. I just think it's going to be cool to see more of a lot of these games. Like, we don't really, haven't seen that much of Mario Party Superstars. We haven't seen that much of Advance Wars and stuff like that. To get more of that and just allowing Nintendo to hype them up a bit more, I think will still be a lot of fun.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, and it's worth noting that the direct that leads Nintendo into the holiday shopping season. And I think that's really
Exactly.
what their focus is going to be, like games that you can get to put under the tree this year.
Hmm.
Because honestly, that's where a lot of these folks make most of their money for the year is folks shopping during gift giving seasons. And so I fully suspect that we're going to see a huge focus on stuff that is more immediate in nature. But like you said, Pokemon, Big Brain Academy, Advance Wars, Mario Party, those are the games I expect to see. And I'm okay with that because those are games we haven't seen a lot of. We know about them, but we really haven't seen a ton of footage of any of these. So Nintendo taking more of kind of a deep dive, as it were, into these titles, I'm still hyped for because they're all games that I want to know more about.
Yeah.
Even if I've kind of already resigned myself to the fact that I will play them, I still,
As many as we can at least. That's
yeah,
for
that's
sure.
true too. Like
I,
you mentioned, Derek, there's a lot of games.
yeah, it's been a crazy year. There's just been so much released in general. That said, I am going to offer up one crazy prediction, and it's
Oh,
DLC. And I'm going to say I feel like we kind of have to have it out there, and I don't think it's too it's nothing huge as far as the game concerned, but I do think we might see some Nintendo related Monkey Ball Banana Mania exclusivity, specifically DLC. I believe Donkey Kong might be a guest character in Donkey or Diddy
ooh,
Kong might be a guest character in Banana Mania because it makes so much sense, and all of a sudden you have a lot more attention on the Nintendo side of things to get that version of the game because hey, that's the only one you can get Donkey Kong on. That's kind of cool.
that that is good. I really like that idea. I hope that that's the case, and I can provide just like a little bit of background on this. Not that I know anything about whether there will be Nintendo specific DLC, but I am allowed to say that I've been playing Banana Mania for a couple of weeks now. And one of the first things I asked Sega when they sent over the game was like, hey, the DLC roster is probably what's most exciting for a lot of people. I said, is there any chance you can send me over the DLC codes so that I can show those off in our videos? And Sega responded to literally every question I had about the game except for anything pertaining to DLC. They will not talk to me about it, which leads me to believe that there are some as yet unrevealed DLC characters for the game.
I did
Just
not
because,
know that.
yeah, in the review build I have, there's zero reference to DLC characters even. So, which we all know there's tons of them. So it is really weird that I can't even find them within the game itself. So, I mean, again, I would I think there's more characters to come, and Donkey Kong would make so much sense. I would love to see him or Diddy or literally anyone from the franchise because, I mean, if you got Hello Kitty and Suezo in there, then putting an actual new monkey in a ball makes almost too much sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So
So, what?
we shall see.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we've got one day left to find out. Derek, before we go, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Uh no, I don't believe so. Like, there's a lot out there that could happen. Like, we could see the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters on Switch. I don't think that's going to happen. We could see Persona on Switch. I don't think that's going to happen. It's just one of those things where there's a lot of things like, oh, we could see this ported. And I think for the most part, it is going to focus on what we know. And that's what I'm still hyped, but I don't think there's going to be a ton of surprises. I could be wrong, but that'd be a good thing to be wrong about.
Yeah, absolutely. As we like to say here on GVG, hype responsibly, folks. Go in with your expectations in check, and you'll probably have a really great time. I know that we'll be excited to be watching this. We'll be live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific to react to the direct. But until then, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this discussion. If you liked it, remember that we are fully Patreon funded. If you could head over to patreon.com/gvgaming to find out more about how you can support us there, we would definitely appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot, but even just liking and subscribing means the world to us. Again, thank you everybody for hanging out with us for this Nintendo Direct predictions discussion, and we will see y'all next time. Bye.